Hello guys and welcome back. So now I have done a high-res render of this at 2K, and I'm gonna switch the network to use that, and I'm going to go up and copy this so I can keep a copy of what I have already, and we're gonna change this. And it's done. So just processing all of that done in just a second or so. So the new render is this file read here, and it's called still_2k, and I've rendered it at 2200 by something. Yeah, 2240 by 1260, and this is the final quality, and it took 3 hours to render on an i7 at this resolution with these settings. Now, one thing that could drastically increase the render time is if we had this ground as reflective. If the shader has reflection, to reflect all this, it would take a lot longer. And looking at this image, I'm pretty happy with everything, especially with the comp that we did. And the only bit is this guy here. It definitely needs a lot of work to make that pop and look more interesting, but all of this is very, very cool. I'm pretty happy with all these details that we have, especially that we didn't do any painting or anything, and we've only shaded one element so far. Everything else is using diffused material, and yet we're getting a lot of cool stuff. So that means we have a lot of interesting lighting. And I'm going to swap this with that, and then the only thing that needs to change is this ramp here under image. We need to match the resolution to be the same so that the ramp looks the same, and hopefully everything will look exactly the same, just at a higher resolution. Okay. Oh, one other thing that I didn't do is the P pass. This was rendered, I didn't re-render that, so I'm going to simply scale it at the moment, or reformat it. Let's add that, and I'm going to scale it to resolution 2260 by 1260, and that should do it. Obviously we have to re-render the pass for the correct result. There's still some misalignment there. Yeah, there's some misalignment. Why is that? Oh, 2240, sorry. And same here. Yep, cool. Okay, let's take a look at this. Now the fog, I would have loved to have included some kind of geo to abstract this when we did the P pass, so we don't end up with this blue tone around it. And I'm actually I prefer that to be, let's see where that's coming from. So it's coming from this guy. I'm gonna change it so that it matches the color for now. So let's do an HSV node. And Houdini crash. So let me pause and come. So I reopened the scene again, and I just turned off this background, this fog pass, and I'm gonna leave that to be black at the moment. And what I wanted to show you guys is how to do some more cool color correction on top of this. And I'm gonna add a color curve node, and let's go here, and then I'm gonna click on edit color curves, and this will give me a curve that I can use to manipulate and change either all the channels. So right now, let me leave this always on top, and it's giving me a preview as well, and we can change the color of the entire image or per channel. And let's see how it works. So I'm gonna click here and drag this up, and I want to add some more contrast basically in the entire image. And this is where the LUT can be fixed. This, if it's crashing too much, see, now we have more data in there, we can simply lift the blacks values a bit, and there we go. We can easily do that. So let's do something like this. Okay, and we can also bring up the bright colors up if we wanted to. Leave that there. Okay, and we can change the color per channel as well. And I'd like to change the blue to shift all the blacks to have more blues on them. Not the mid-range, but the dark. Something like that. Yeah, it's not changing too much there. And we don't have a lot of blue, I guess. Oh, we do. Cool. And I think that's pretty much it. Going to add an HSV node, and what I like to, I always try to do this to shift. Yeah, definitely desaturate is much better now. What I like to do is rotate the hues, and that will tell me, like, we'll see how it looks if it was, for example, if we had this section blue and everything else is blue. It's definitely very, very interesting as well. And you can see the blue is rotating to yellow, so it's the complement of what we would have gotten if we were to light this properly. And we can also go into each section and change the color if we wanted to. Obviously, if you guys notice that we can do that kind of stuff now. I like this version. I think, again, this center needs some work, but all in all, I think it's pretty cool. And you can see the chroma aberration is not working now because we shifted what the offset. So I'm gonna go back here and do the HSV thing before we do the chroma aberration, so we can shift the proper channels. Okay, let's take a look. Yep, so I'm going to do this. I want to add a little bit of glow to the overall image, so I'm going to add a blur and blur it 10 times, maybe 60, and let's do another level, 120, and let's do another level of 250. I'm gonna add them all together using an add mode. Okay, and I'm going to change the gamma of the input, and I'll show why. So here I'm going to change the gamma, say 0.5, so it only picks up the bright sources. It basically removes everything else. Let's see. Cool, and I can add this layer back in on top of the render using an add mode. And to make this look even better, I'm gonna reduce the amount of intensity each blur layer has as it increases. So I'm gonna set this to 0.7 and the big one to 0.3. So we have only the smallest, the least blurry version is the strongest. So let's copy this, set this to 0.45, and I'm gonna copy this node and add it back here. I'll explain why in a second. So let's set the gamma to 2, and what it does is, after we did the blur with this, we can lift everything back up, and this generally helps to bring in some interesting details, but it depends on the input. So maybe just 1.1 is cool. And let's we can change the weight as well. Let's reverse this to adjust the hint. It doesn't have to be too strong, something like that. And I'm gonna copy this. I'll show you guys one more tip. I'm gonna add a separate chroma aberration to this, to the blur, and I'm gonna make it more extreme. It's too much. Why is this? Oh, sorry. It doesn't have to be negative. And you can see now we have a lot more colors. Color variation between the various channels. Get that nice effect. And the cool thing, because we everything is procedural, I can go back to that HSV node that we did, turn that off, and go back to our original render. And this is how it looks like. That's the glow effect. And I'm gonna add an HSV node, desaturate this a touch, and let's remove the grain and add it back here. Cool. And the last thing is I'm gonna save this to disk. So I like to use PNGs for the final data, for the final output, but now the only trick is how to apply and bake the LUT into the image, and I'm going to show you that. So out comp version 1.png. I don't need alpha channel, I just need color. And then here I'm going to turn off convert to image color space. I'm going to set this to 1, and then in the LUT I'm going to load the same file. Okay, let's hit render. Okay, let's do a copy and do a version 2 and turn on that HSV to shift the colors to the blue version and hit render again. And let's take a look at what we have. Cool, so this is our 2K version, final version. And this is the blue version. Cool. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.